Jesus in the gospel brings the dead man Lazarus back to life. Today's scriptural readings, however, remind us that not all death is physical. There are people who are alive, but inside feel drained, tired, and lifeless, dead in motivation, dead in hope, dead in relationships, dead in faith. And maybe you have experienced this. You wake up, you function, you perform your duties, but something inside feels empty. And today's scriptural readings speak directly to that reality by reminding us that God can bring life even where we feel dead inside. In today's first reading, God speaks to people who feel defeated and without hope, as if everything is over and nothing will change. And so God says, I will open your graves and bring you back to life. This is not only about physical death. It is about situations in life that feel finished. A relationship that seems beyond repair, dreams that feel impossible, problems that never seem to end, a heart that is already tired. And sometimes we also say it is over. There is no hope. Nothing will change. Today's first reading, however, God tells us that it is not over. I can still restore it. That no situation is too broken for God to restore. No heart is too wounded for God to heal. And no life is too lost for God to bring back. Even when you feel at your lowest, even if it feels like you are already in a grave, God can bring life back into you. There is only one thing that God is asking from us in order for Him to bring us back to life, and that is, do not give up. Trust Him. In the second reading, St. Paul reminds us of a very comforting truth. St. Paul says, the Spirit of God lives in you. In other words, we are not facing life alone, and we should not rely only on our own strength. There are times when we feel tired, stressed, or discouraged. Times when we feel like we cannot continue anymore. But St. Paul in the second reading tells us, even in those moments, God is already at work inside us. The Spirit of God gives us strength when we feel weak, gives us hope when we are lost, gives us courage when we feel afraid. Sometimes we think that we have to handle everything by ourselves, but that is not how God designed us. We are meant to live with this awareness. God is within me, and I am not alone. And so, when life feels heavy, always remember this. You don't have to carry everything by yourself. The Spirit of God lives in you, quietly giving you the strength to stand up and move forward. In the Gospel reading, Lazarus is dead. For 4 days, he is already in the tomb. Everything seems finished. No more hope, no more solution. But then Jesus arrives and He says something simple but powerful. Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus comes back to life. But before this miracle, something very important happens. Jesus weeps. Jesus cries. This means that the Lord does not ignore our pain. The Lord does not pretend that everything is fine. He feels the sorrow and He enters the situation, and then He brings life. This teaches us that God does not ignore our struggles. He enters them. And so, when we are hurting, God is there. When we are grieving, God understands. When everything feels over, God is still working. And there are areas in our lives that feel like a tomb, a broken relationship, a long-standing problem, a loss that still hurts, a struggle we cannot overcome, a faith that has grown cold. And just like Lazarus, Jesus also speaks the same words to us, calling us, come out of discouragement, come out of fear, come out of hopelessness, come out of whatever is holding you down. You are not meant to stay in the tomb, because with God, it is never the end. There is always new life. So whatever feels dead in your life, bring it to Christ. Because when Jesus speaks, even the tomb cannot hold us. Amen.